YouTube, man. As you can see by the title of the video, today we're gonna be talking about some things I wish I knew before I purchased my MPC Key 37. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, I'm gonna set this down real quick. First thing I want to talk about is the price. This is like $8.99. For all my producers that use those, no DAWs ever costing that much. Unless you got like the FL full version. I think that's still only like $5.99. So it is pricey, but I don't think this is like a beginner controller, MIDI controller, DAW, because it is like a full workstation. You can, like, it has a screen, has like the full, well, I'm gonna just put it up in the video. It has like a full functioning screen, like any other MPC for real. So you don't even have to use a DAW. So this could really replace a DAW. But sometimes you might think, is it worth $8.99 plus with any DAW? You have your stock stuff, but you're gonna want to get some other stuff. The stuff on the MPC, it is a little pricey. I know hybrid, that's a big one. They got like different keys and stuff like that. The sampler kind of comes with it, but if you want to do like the stem separator to like separate the drums and vocals and stuff on the sample, I think you got to purchase that, which is like cheap. It's like $30, like most cheap plugins, but it's pricey. Now, if you were like, you want an MPC, but you're thinking about this versus like the Key 61, this is gonna be like $900. Key 61, that's like $1,500. So that is a big difference. Of course, the Key 61, it's kind of like this. I think it gets like a few more knobs, but it's basically the same thing. I mean, it has 61 keys instead of 37, so that's like a big thing. Another thing about this, you're gonna need you're gonna have to buy some other things outside of it. Like, you're gonna have to find a stand for it, or make sure you have a table for it. Cause like I said, it's not a small MIDI controller like with just the keys. It has pads, all that other stuff. You're gonna have to have speakers. I know some of the other MPCs without the keyboard, like it comes with speakers, or it has like a battery that you can put in it. So you can go and use that anywhere. You can use it on the road, you can use it in the car, anywhere. For this, you gotta have it plugged up, and you gotta have speakers because it doesn't have that. That kind of like sucks, but like I'm mobile with this, but I'm not like mobile like making beats in a car or doing all that. If I want to do all that, I'll just use my laptop and headphones. I'm not really tripping on that, but some people are, so that's something to think about. Also, you're gonna need to buy an SD card in it. It has space in it. I'm not sure how much space it comes with, but I just went and bought an SD card because it was easier just to transfer like my drums I use in like my DAW to the SD card, so we could just put the SD card in there. Or let's say you ever go work with somebody else or another MPC, you can just transfer SD cards. The drum pack, like the drum kits, it's gonna stay the same and work throughout all the other MPCs. Now, one thing to note on this, so the way I use my Key 37, I use it like kind of a hybrid workflow. I use MPC Beats, or I use the MPC software inside of FL Studio as a plugin. So I'll make my melody using the MPC as like a MIDI controller, using it as a MIDI controller, and then I'll go, and when I'm ready to do my beats, I open up the MPC plugin inside of FL Studio, just like any other plugin, and I'll make my drums that way. And all I do is like drag the audio out for FL, channel it up, or like route everything up, and yeah, that's how I work. But it does come with its own like software. So the thing about it that I wish I knew, it has MPC 3 software, which is like way different than the first and the second software, but it doesn't have MPC software on the computer yet, which is kind of weird. They have like a beta out that you can use, but it's not like foolproof. It still got its problems. So like, that's one thing to think about. Like, if you are coming from another MPC and you're using MPC 3, but it's just weird because some people they don't just want to use standalone mode. They want to use it as a MIDI. But if you use a MIDI and you want to use MPC 3, because you're used to using MPC3 in standalone mode, you can't like do it without going to the beta. But like I said, the beta got problems. I've been running into some problems trying to use that, but I rarely use it anyways. So another thing is, speaking personally, I think it pairs well with FL Studio, and I know it pairs well with Ableton. I haven't seen too many people use it as a MIDI for Logic, or like use it the same way I use it, where they're using like as a MIDI and using it for drums. But if you FL user, I got a tutorial on my channel. I can link it in the description. I think it pairs very well with that. And like I said, I know a lot of people, they use it with Ableton. A lot of people, like when I came up watching tutorials before I bought it. So I think it definitely pairs well with those. One thing about this that I kind of don't like, but it's not really a Key 37 thing, it's an MPC thing, the sequencing, or like when you try to pattern out your beats, it's just kind of like, I don't know, maybe if y'all know a better way, y'all can put it in the comments, but I don't really like the way you sequence or pattern out the beats on MPC at all. Like MPC2 software, MPC3 software, standalone mode, I don't know, I just don't like how it is. That's why I use FL to drag out my drums, cause it just, I don't know, the sequence, it's weird on here. Maybe it's cause I'm not used to it, but I ain't really a big fan of that. Also, another thing to think about is plugin, like if it's compatible, yeah, that's the word, I'm tripping. If it's compatible with your plugin. So on standalone mode, you can't really, I know they recently introduced a native instruments packs that you can like use. You can buy native instruments packs and like put them on the MPC and like use it like that. But like as far as all your other plugins, if you're in standalone mode, you can't really use them. Or at least I haven't found a way to use them. So that's gonna be a big thing if you trying to like go straight only MPC, no like computer or nothing. I don't know a way to use all of your plugins. Now, when you use like the software, like you're using your MPC with the MPC software, you can use some of those plugins. Even some of them still don't work, which is like kind of annoying. Most of the bigger plugins do though, like Omniverse or I said Omniverse, Omnisphere, Trillion, Expand, all those still work. But like some of the smaller ones, Ivan, like Electra, I don't think Electra works. It might work, I don't know, I gotta see. But I know like the really small ones, like how creators is just dropping plugins like all the time, those ain't working really too well within the MPC app, just because plugins gotta meet certain criteria to be able to work inside of it. And that can be annoying if you got like a new plugin that's like sauce and you just can't use it. So that's one thing to think about. But on the other hand, if you use my workflow, it's gonna be perfect because I use all my plugins are already in FL, so I don't gotta worry about that. Another thing, which is kind of like a way better thing I like about the MPC, sampling. Honestly, the plugin part kind of like, if you want to use it for standalone specifically, I'm talking standalone. The sampling, I think MPC got the best sampler that I've used. I mean, I think it's better than all the other DAWs, and I've sampled the other DAWs using plugins. But something about having a pad right there, being able to sequence it out on beat and hitting the pads, is just way different with samples. If you want to get that classic sample, if you want to get that like Kanye West type of sample, Dr. Dre type of sample, or if you want to get like how people sample nowadays, where it's kind of like more simple, just adding the trap drums, you could do all that on here. And me personally, when I sample, most of the time I don't really add other instruments. Most of the time I add is like a bass or like some piano. So I don't think like if you use a standalone, you're not really gonna be pressed for plugins if you do it like me, because I'll sample like that, add the drums, and the beat's done. Like I said, I still end up dragging all that in the FL just to sequence it out, just because I don't like the sequencer on here. But I think it's great for sampling if you like sampling. Another thing, just to think about, like I said, this versus a 61, or even if you were looking to get like the smaller MPCs without the keyboard, portability, I think this is like the perfect size if you want to go to other studios, go collab with people, go work with other people, bring it from your dorm room to your house to your girlfriend's house, wherever you're going. I think it's perfect size. It can't really fit in a bag, but it's not like, unless you got like a duffel. But they sell cases full, but it's a perfect size for real. It's not huge like a 61 key keyboard. That's why I would choose this over the Key 61. But also it is bigger than like the MPC one and like those legacy editions. So that's something to think about. But like I said, it does have the key. It has the keys on it, so you ain't gonna have to bring that and a keyboard if you want to like go somewhere else, because that's something you might run into. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is having like the MPC Key 37 like with the keys, or just using like an MPC one and getting like an external keyboard. That's like a big debate kind of, or at least for me, like whether I like this or not, because sometimes if you want to use standalone mode, you kind of like limited like with your keys. Like you don't have like, it's plugins full, but it's not nearly as many sounds as like a Saturn keyboard will have, or another type of keyboard will have. So it's like you kind of get limited. If you use the hybrid workflow like me, then you can get around that because you got more plugins. But for somebody looking to go like for their first MPC, if they want to go MPC one with a keyboard or MPC Key 37, I would probably say start out with the Key 37. But I feel like if you a real keys player, like I said, Zaytoven, he's somebody that like, he's famous for having like another keyboard. Well, I feel like everybody started off on another keyboard, but that's still how he records to this day. I would say start off with the Key 37, and eventually when you find out like, all right, I think I want more sounds, that's when maybe you can start looking into that hybrid workflow, so you can get better like plugins. Or if like you're doing everything at home, you can go ahead and start looking into other keyboards, because that's where you're gonna get the best key sounds anyways. Like those keyboard sounds are always gonna sound better than like the ones you get in Keyscape, which is probably the best keys you can get right now. But like straight from the keyboard, it's just gonna sound better always. So yeah, man, I mean, if y'all got any more questions, I had my Key 37 for probably about a year now. I've probably been using it strong for like the last 6 months. So if you got any more questions about it, or you thinking about it, y'all let me know in the comments. If you got this far, I appreciate you for watching, man, and we'll be back with another episode soon.